Welcome to Music She Missed, the podcast where I get my best friend caught up on some of the most popular songs and artists that impact our lives. I'm Alison.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I missed all the music.
And Rachel, this is our last episode of this season.
It is. I'm super excited, but super sad because it's coming to an end. But I'm super excited because we've done so much and had so much fun. So
Yeah, and we will have a future episode coming up where we review the season as a whole.
Ooh, bonus one.
But before we do that, we do need to talk about our last artist of this season, which is a pretty big name.
Okay.
But before we do the big reveal, I would like to ask you a seemingly unrelated question.
Unrelated. I
Seemingly.
totally believe you.
Okay, out of these four characters, which one do you associate with the most? Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, or the Cowardly Lion?
I would say the Scarecrow.
The Scarecrow? Okay.
I don't know. I like Dorothy too. She has some great shoes. But the Scarecrow, let's be honest, I just don't have a brain for music, and I've just totally missed it. So it's just the natural one that's going to come to me with this podcast and everything.
Well, you know what? It's so awesome that you said the Scarecrow, because this week's artist is associated with the Scarecrow.
A Scarecrow?
Yes. Do you have any idea who it might be?
Sheryl Crow?
No.
Wait, no, she's an actor.
No, she's a singer.
Oh, okay.
But not the one for this week. So let's just do the big reveal.
Okay.
And you'll find out who it is.
Here we go. Let's go. I think I know what it is.
Okay. What is it?
Is it Counting Crows?
No, it doesn't actually have to do with crows. So let's do the big reveal one more time.
Okay.
It's Michael Jackson.
How does this have anything to do with crows?
So Michael Jackson played the Scarecrow in the movie The Wiz, which is an adaptation of The Wizard of Oz from Broadway with an all African-American cast.
Wait a second. Didn't like ABC or NBC or some kind of network do a remake of The Wiz? Or was it a remake or The Real Wiz? And Michael Jackson, he's passed away.
He has.
No, that's not true. That's not a true fact, is it?
About what I just said about him being in it?
Because they couldn't have, because that just happened like within the past year.
Yeah, but this movie was from like the 70s.
Oh, okay. So that was a remake of, because I thought it was just, okay, moving on. Michael Jackson, I can do this one.
Michael Jackson. Okay, so this is not...
I recognize the name.
Yeah, it's not an unknown name to you. So tell me, what do you already know about Michael Jackson?
He played with his brothers with the Jackson 5.
That is correct.
He has a great kid voice, but also it turned into a great adult voice.
Okay.
I would say I've heard the term King of Pop.
That is a correct statement.
Yeah, there we go. He did Thriller.
Mm-hmm.
That Free Willy movie.
Yeah.
The Healing the World stuff.
Okay.
Did he do that Pocahontas one, Colors of the Wind?
No.
Oh.
Well, let me give you a couple more titles, just like we always do, and you can say, yes, you've heard it before, or pass, just to get a better picture, because it sounds like you know a lot already.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Don't stop till you get enough.
Didn't know that was Michael. Okay, pass.
But you know the song?
No.
Oh, so pass. Okay. Beat It.
Oh, I know that's Michael. Yeah.
Okay. Smooth Criminal.
I didn't know that was Michael. So sort of half pass. I've heard of the song. I just didn't know that was Michael.
Okay. Black or White.
Yeah, I think I knew that was Michael. Yeah.
Okay. You Are Not Alone.
Pass.
So are you ready to rate your familiarity with Michael Jackson?
I think it's going to be a little bit higher than other groups because of how well I knew Michael's information.
I agree. So let's give it a number. 1 is you've never heard of him before, didn't know he was a musician, and 10 is, wow, you know a lot, and he's your favorite, and you know everything about him.
Well, I don't have any of his music, but I can recognize some of his songs, and I know he came from the movie Free Willy, so I would say he's more of like a 7.
I think that's a good rating for you. For you, this is
Yes.
this is a 7. I think that's great.
Good. I'm excited.
Me too. So now you have some homework so you can increase your knowledge
Yep.
of Michael Jackson. Why don't you talk about that?
So I'm going to listen to our Spotify account because Allison lovingly gave me about an hour's worth of music to listen to. I'm going to listen to it every day for about 7 days and enjoy it.
Yeah, and our audience can listen along with you by searching for Spotify user music she missed. Then we'll come back together after the week, but for our audience,
Just for a moment.
yeah, and we'll talk about more of his history, more of the songs, his musical influence, and you'll rate him again on
Yes.
how likely it would be that you would listen to him again.
And how much if I liked him, disliked him, give him my little take because it's all about me.
Yeah, this show is kind of all about you, isn't
No,
it?
it's not.
No, it is because you're learning.
Whatever.
It's about you learning all this music and creating connections and growing in your musical experience.
Okay.
I'm just your guide.
A lovely tour guide.
Okay, Rachel. Well, enjoy your week with Michael Jackson, and audience, we'll see you in just a moment. Welcome back. Rachel, you spent the last week listening to the King of Pop.
I did, Michael Jackson.
What'd you think?
Honestly, I had a lot of fun this week. I blared the music, which was very,
You blared it.
very abnormal for me.
Oh,
He didn't go into my car though. He was just blaring as I was cleaning the house, doing stuff around the house kind of thing.
and it make it all the way to the car.
Yeah, not most. Adele did, but Michael didn't. So, but I had a lot of fun.
You always have fun.
I do. I'm just having flashbacks to that 1 week of Nirvana.
Well, why don't we start by talking a little bit about Michael Jackson? What do
Yes.
you want to know?
Okay, so he obviously started super young.
Yes, very young. His father was a blues musician also, so
Really?
music ran in the family. Yeah, most definitely. And their father trained them for years.
Them as in the brothers too.
Yeah, as in the family to be this performing group.
Huh.
Their father was a very harsh taskmaster. He had them practicing all the time at a very young age. They were performing in bars, in strip clubs, and
Little boys?
yeah. Michael's like 9, and he wrote in his biography, that the father would critique them, hit them with a switch or a belt if they messed up musically. Yeah. So his childhood seemed to have a lot of really difficult emotional.
Had some tension with his relationship with his father.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty sad when the relationship could have been better and be different for him.
Yeah, it's too bad.
So tell me a little bit about how Michael Jackson's career just kind of, where did the Jackson 5 stop? Where did Michael Jackson start by himself?
So the Jackson 5 had lots of number 1 hits in a row, but as time went on, they didn't have a lot of control over their songs and their image, and they wanted more like creative freedom. So that's when Michael Jackson hooked up with the producer Quincy Jones, and he gave him a lot more freedom to like write his own music and produce his own songs and his own sound. And that's when the first album, Off the Wall, came out, and it was a really big hit. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough is one of the tracks
Really?
from that album. Yeah.
I like that song.
Yeah.
I had a fun week, and that was part of my fun week.
That's a good party song. And that album, even though it sold more than 5 million copies in the US by 1985,
Wow.
Michael was disappointed with the reception that it received. Yeah, because it didn't receive like a lot of Grammys or a lot of critical acclaim. So he vowed that his next album would be even bigger or even the biggest album ever.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Really?
And that's Thriller.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Thriller is the biggest selling album ever by anyone of all time. Ever is Thriller. Like he said he was going to make the best album ever, and he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Props to you, Michael.
Yeah. So that Thriller was in 1982. It was just a collection of giant hits. Beat It, Billie Jean, Thriller,
Really?
Wanna Be Starting Something. Mm-hmm.
All of that's from that album.
Mm-hmm. Pretty Young Thing. Yeah, all those songs are from
Pretty
Thriller.
Young Thing wasn't my favorite over the week,
Why
but
not?
it still wasn't like my least favorite. I don't know. I was really into the party mood of just, blaring the music throughout the house and stuff, but Pretty Little Thing, I just had to take a pause. I don't know why. It's not like it was a bad song.
That one just didn't
Jive with
connect
me
with
this
you.
week. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing about this album, is that it's almost like a collection of different hits and different types of pop songs. So the album kind of had something for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like different styles, different beats. So that's why it had so many hit singles.
Wow.
Yeah.
So him as the king of pop is his sister the queen of pop?
No, she is not. We will be talking about the Queen of Pop in a different episode.
So there is a queen of pop.
Oh, yes.
I don't know who that person
But it's
is.
not Janet Jackson.
Okay. So he collaborated with his brothers with Jackson 5.
Yes.
So he collaborated with his sister as well, or is that with
He did.
separate or together or
No,
all
he
of the
did
kids, or-
collaborate with her. He had a single in the 90s
Oh, okay.
called Scream, which is not on your playlist, but it's a duet with Janet.
Oh, I'll have to look that one up.
He also collaborated with former Beatle Paul McCartney,
Really?
Say, and This Girl Is Mine. And he did a lot of other collaborations with big artists. He created a We Are the World video and
Okay.
hit single with like 45 big names to raise money for famine in Africa, I believe. And that video had Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder, Billy Joel, Diana Ross, Willie Nelson. And so he did do lots of collaborations.
Cool.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about his vocal range and his control. Like, dude, his music is amazing. And
It is.
so he got a lot of help with his dad and his just kind of
Right.
hang out with his brothers and just being kind of in that encouraging environment.
Right.
But he's so much different than probably his brothers.
Yeah, well, they noticed from a very early age how much more of a natural, raw talent that Michael had, as opposed to his older brothers, and that he was going to be the star of the Jackson 5. I mean, even though he's the youngest one, I mean, he really
Stood out.
It stands out, exactly. So he has a 4-octave range and just amazing control of his voice.
And this screaming.
What's okay? You talk about screaming in a lot of different episodes, and first of all, I know you don't like screaming, but second of all, Michael Jackson does not scream.
Okay, so he does, but he's not like the other ones where there's another band that they're screaming out of anger.
Okay.
And the other ones are more screaming out of passion.
Okay.
Now, Michael, when he screams, it's more out of joy. So I definitely
But what's scream? Like, what are you talking about?
you're gonna have to teach me how to do this.
Oh, I'm not. What?
Ooh, no, wait. So, when he's like, ooh, ooh,
You mean hee hee like that?
is it? Wait, I want to try. Hold on. Do it again. Do it again.
I can't do it. I'm not Michael
No,
Jackson.
you're much better than me. Come on.
I'm not gonna hee hee again.
Do
I
it one
just
more
hee-hee'd.
time.
No,
I
I'm
want to
good.
mimic you. Come on.
I can't do it. I'm gonna laugh.
All right, I'm gonna try. No. Okay, this is just embarrassing. So he has this ability to control his voice,
Yes.
including his hee-hees.
That we do not have.
That we do not
But
have.
that's part of, that's a standard Michael Jackson impression, is to do that little thing that he does. But I would not call that a scream by any means.
I would say still it's not lyrics, but it's out of joy.
It's like an exclamation mark.
It's still in my category of screaming.
Okay. Well, we talked a little bit about Thriller and its success. Mm-hmm. But it was also during this time that you start to see a little bit of changes in Michael Jackson's face.
Is that when it happened?
So there's some possible skin lightening during this time. His nose might be a little thinner. His chin might be a little thinner. And over the years, obviously, he changes more and more to look a little bit whiter, a little bit more androgynous, kind of. The doctors claim that it was a skin disorder called vitiligo.
Vitiligo.
Yes, but it could have also been an intentional, more like bleaching.
Okay.
I don't claim to know.
So maybe this is a little bit of the flip of the side here.
Okay.
So I did one little research thing before we got on air here.
Okay.
And this one thing I did see is that they did confirm on the autopsy that he was actually diagnosed with that. And so
Okay.
it wasn't just, you know, his
It wasn't
PR.
a personal choice.
It wasn't a personal choice. That part was. Now, part of his diagnosis in the past and how it kind of worked out in his later years.
See, what's so funny about this,
see?
Rachel,
I can
is that
teach you.
well, what's funny about this is that you do spend a lot of time knowing pop news. You know,
Yeah,
you've
I
known
don't-
pretty much everything.
I like trivia.
Right. So you know all the things about Michael Jackson's like kind of public life, but you never had heard half of the songs.
I didn't know half of the songs were
on the
related
number
to
one
him.
playlist,
Like
right?
half of them, I was like, "Oh, this is Michael.
So
This is Michael. I've heard this song in a movie before."
right, and that's why I don't want to focus on like the weird
Yeah,
things that
yeah,
he's known
yeah.
for. I want to focus on the music. So,
Which he's definitely got some serious talent.
of course, so Thriller was a giant hit, right?
And that was his second album.
Correct.
So how many albums total?
6.
Wow. And all of them got rewards?
Well, we got to keep going here. So the next album that came out in 1987, this was called Bad. Okay.
Bad.
Like the song.
Okay.
And this album has Dirty Diana, Smooth Criminal, Man in the Mirror, The Way You Make Me Feel.
Two of my favorite songs are from that album.
Oh, okay. Which one?
Man in the Mirror
That's a good one.
and The Way You Make Me Feel.
Okay. Why did you like those two songs?
The Way You Make Me Feel, it just got you out of your seat. It got you into dancing.
Quite literally.
And it really was a lot of fun dancing with my 4-year-old daughter and just playing with her on that song. And then The Man in the Mirror, she and I were just playing in front of the mirror and just
Oh,
it was just kind of funny.
So you're singing Man in the Mirror
Yeah.
with your daughter.
And just playing with her, and it was just a lot of fun. And so not only for the personal reasons, but also I just really like the beat. Okay, so tell me about your take on those songs.
I just wanted to mention with Man in the Mirror that I really enjoy the lyrics of that song because it's about making change in the world, but starting with yourself. And I feel like that's a really great message, right? Because he's saying, if you want to make a change, like, look at yourself, change the man in the mirror, change who you are.
Yeah.
And then you can worry about the rest of the world, right? We
Yes.
can't change anything.
Yes.
You know, we have to start with ourselves. So I really like that song lyrically.
And he wrote that song, right?
I believe so. He wrote most of his songs.
Wow. Very talented. And just entertainer, dancer.
Yeah.
Because he did that moonwalk thing.
He did. He didn't invent it. It is an older move, but
He mastered it.
he popularized it. Yeah, and brought it to a new level.
That's cool. So there's one song on that album that I want to talk about. The Diana one.
Dirty Diana.
Dirty Diana. Is that Princess Diana?
No.
No?
No, it's not. Oh, I mean, it's Dirty Diana, and there's nothing about Princess Diana
Yeah,
that
she's
screams
pretty clean.
dirty to me. Yeah.
I don't know.
Some people may have suggested, is it Diana Ross or something like his friend?
Oh.
But that seems to be unsubstantiated. So it's probably like many pop songs where you put in a girl's name because it sounds good
Okay, so it just works well with the lyrics.
song and the lyrics. Yeah.
Diana Ross. Do I know any songs by her?
We will find out in a future episode.
I don't know.
All right, so the album Bad, it actually launched more number one singles than Thriller, but it didn't get the same, it didn't match the accomplishments of Thriller. Like Thriller had like 8 Grammys and was like, the best-selling album of all time, right? So unfortunately, it was viewed as a flop.
Why? That was
Well,
some great songs on that
But
album.
after you've done the greatest musical accomplishment of all time, everything, where do you go from there, right? So he did do a tour, but it didn't win like the Grammys that Thriller had, for example, because he was competing against
his own self.
well, he's competing against his own self, but he's also in the late 80s competing against other bands like U2 and Prince that did clean up with the Grammys that year. So
Oh, I know who U2 is.
I know. Anyway, so after Bad comes out, things start to get a little bit weird. And I don't want to dwell on the weirdness.
So that's when his weird stuff in his life or weird in his music?
His life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's when he
builds. He was pretty even keel on his music in the sense of kind of sticking to the pop stuff, right?
Yeah, and we will get more big hits and big songs because he remains Michael Jackson. He doesn't disappear. But it is in the 90s, in the early 90s, where he builds the Neverland home. Right?
Yes.
Where there are accusations of child molestation, even though there weren't charges filed and it was settled outside of court. Maybe during this time is when he starts having a dependency on medication.
Oh, yeah. That's how he died, right?
Yeah, and we'll get to that. He was married twice.
Really? I didn't know he was married.
Mm-hmm.
Who was he married to?
Well, Elvis Presley's daughter was his first.
Really?
Yes. And then later, a receptionist.
A receptionist?
Named Debbie Rowe, yeah. And he had 3 children total, but...
Are all 3 of his? No.
Well, there's like some question if it's from artificial insemination, and it's a little bit fuzzy on the details. I don't want to...
But he does have 3 kids, so...
He had, 3 children.
Legally that are...
Legally 3 children, yes.
Cool.
So, anyway, after that, he has 3 more studio albums. 1991, called Dangerous, which has the Black or White hit song on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then in 1995, History. That's the album that has the Janet Jackson song that we mentioned. And it's also the one that has Earth Song. Mm-hmm. And then in 2001, Invincible.
Cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in the 2000s, more controversies arise, and Michael really just begins to retreat and retreat and retreat. Like, I remember as a kid growing up, I wasn't allowed to listen to Michael Jackson's music because my mom said he was, quote, weird. And, the tabloids were just running all kinds of crazy things about him. And he kind of, although he was still making great music, he was kind of like, became this
different person.
Well, like this unknown person, this weird person that does things like you were talking about with the...
He held the baby over the banister?
Right.
That's unhealthy.
Or like wearing a burqa in...
You wore a burqa?
In Dubai or wherever he lived in the Middle East. So, yeah, so he was doing like some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And
my mom and dad probably were like your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Of just not letting, because I don't remember listening to Michael as a kid either.
No, I didn't discover him until I was an adult. So
I didn't discover really into him until this week.
Until this week, yeah. So I'm saying all that because he had kind of fallen from this like amazing pop icon to kind of like unseen, unheard. And then in 2009, he announces this ambitious series of 50 concerts that he's calling his like, quote, final curtain call. Like it's going to be his giant comeback. Right?
So he was talking all the stuff that he talked about during his second album. This is going to be my best album. Now he's saying this is going to be the best tour.
Yeah, like he's going to have this giant comeback that's going to start in London. And they had this amazing dress rehearsal the night before the first show. And then the next day he was dead.
That's right. So he died in London.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when he did that medical overdose thing, all of his people were with him, I guess.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't know if you realize this. His death was not a suicide. It was ruled as a homicide.
Yeah, because that doctor should have had a little bit more control of how much he was getting, right?
Exactly.
But it wasn't like they determined that the doctor wasn't intentionally killing Michael.
Right.
He
it was
just
like
was being careless.
Manslaughter. Yeah. So he like wrongly administered.
Yeah.
This
he
sedative,
just wasn't.
See, it's interesting that you know that, but not any of his songs.
Yeah, like half of the songs that I listened to this week, I was like, oh, I didn't know it was Michael.
I actually remember where I was when I found out that Michael Jackson had died.
That was in 2009.
Yes.
I was driving home
Okay.
in my car
Yeah.
and dealing with my normal hour and a half commute traffic.
Uh-huh.
And this billboard, electronic billboard,
Uh-huh.
said, Michael has died.
What?
It was like, those, electronic billboards
Yeah.
that like go every 30 seconds or something. And I was just like, what in the world? Why would they place, the king of pop on a billboard like that all of a sudden
To let you know.
to let you know? And so
Wow.
there was letting everyone who's going through this traffic, and people were, I guess, honking at the sign or whatever.
Aw. So I was in Brazil at the time, and I had been living kind of Wi-Fi and technology free,
Uh-huh.
and on a boat. So for a week, we had no contact with what was going on in the outside world. And when we came back to the port city and we were ready to fly back to the States, all the Brazilians that we were working with, they all came and they said, Michael Jackson's died. Michael Jackson's died. And that's how I found out. That's why I remember it, because it was such
Yeah.
a weird, like yours,
Yeah,
like
it's
on a
like,
billboard, such
in
a
traffic,
weird
it's
way to
like-
find out that he died.
Yeah, very odd way. But also, he was just very impactful that you could just say his name, Michael Jackson, and everyone knows who you're exactly talking about.
All around the world.
Exactly.
Everyone knows. Exactly. So Michael's had a huge influence. I'm not even going to attempt to list all the people unless there's anybody specific you want to know.
He's probably influenced every single person that I've missed. So,
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if they did pop or R&B, Michael Jackson is the king of pop, and his star power and his musical prowess and his dance ability and the way that he created music that was so loved by everybody. I mean, that's inspirational to musicians, everybody from like JT and Usher to Bruno Mars and Celine Dion and
yeah.
everybody in between.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
So he kind of went a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
A little.
Yeah.
But the title of King of Pop was never taken away from him.
Oh, no.
That was always stayed with him. He never, people never shamed his music because of some of the weird stuff that he did.
I don't think so. And, honestly, even since he's passed, 2 more albums have come out.
What?
Yep.
So he's passed and more albums are coming out of his music.
Yeah, like recordings that are collaborations. I wanted to put some of these on here, but when I was making your playlist, I was having such a hard time because he's so prolific. I can't put every song on that playlist, but you could check out the 2014 album called Escape or Escape, and there's collaborations with Justin Timberlake and other people where they like recorded with his voice and took recordings and demos and made new songs.
So did Justin Timberlake know Michael?
I don't know.
Or just they kind of did that whole behind the scenes record switching, meshing together thing?
I would not be surprised if they had met at some point, considering
Yeah.
how long. No, I'm certain that they met because I know that Michael Jackson did stuff with NSYNC, but how they recorded the songs on Escape, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 albums. One is Escape, and what's the other one?
Michael, I think it's a compilation album, but it had all new tracks with a lot of collaborators, people like Akon, 50 Cent, and Lenny Kravitz.
Don't know any of those.
Yep, not surprising. So, overall, Rachel, I know you know a fair amount about his personal history, but what did you think about his music overall? And let's give it a rating.
Okay. Honestly, I really enjoyed this week.
I'm glad to hear that.
I think I'm going to give him a 9.
A 9, really?
Yeah.
That's very surprising because I didn't.
What were you expecting me to give?
Well, you just kind of made it sound like you liked it, but you didn't love it.
Well, I liked it because enough to give it a 9 because I do want to get some of his music. Because
Okay.
I think some of his music is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how to get some of his music as just some of the songs that I want, opposed to, do I have to buy the whole albums?
Well, I would recommend buying Thriller or buying
Yeah, that first
Bad,
or second one.
because
special.
because those
No,
albums.
second or third. Yeah.
Because those albums have so many songs on there that you really enjoyed, and you'll get to see, especially when you buy a whole album, you're getting the vision that the artist wanted to present to you.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, these are the days when these albums were being created where you couldn't just pick and choose songs and make a playlist easily, right? So it was an intentional set of songs. And I would recommend starting with the albums that had the most songs on it that you liked.
2 and 3. Cool.
Yeah.
I will definitely get those.
That's great. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed Michael Jackson, but I'm sad that this is the last episode of this season.
It is sad, but Allison and I have some good news.
Why are you whispering?
Because I like to whisper when I get really excited. I've always whispered when I get excited.
Okay.
If you stick with us, we are going to start season 2 soon. So give us a little break, and then you will get to start listening to us with season 2.
Right, because you're probably, if you're a music fan, sitting there saying, oh, they didn't talk about this band, they didn't talk about this band, why didn't they skip this one? And don't worry, guys, I have a plan. I want to spread out the big names so that every season will have somebody that you won't believe that Rachel doesn't know about.
That's
very
so
important.
There has lots of music that Rachel has missed.
Yes.
So come along for my journey. It's a lot of fun.
If you guys have suggestions of what artists you want to hear about in the future, you can send us a message on Facebook or on Twitter.
Facebook is at Music She Missed, and Twitter is at Music She Missed handle as well. And then you can follow us on Spotify and listen to the playlist at Spotify:/user:/Music She Missed.
And if you want to hear more, do us a favor, subscribe on iTunes, and if you enjoyed this season, leave us a nice rating as well.
I had a lot of fun this season. Feel free to join us for next season because we're going to have more fun.
Yeah, see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.